love about what you're doing is you're taking on the mental health aspect. And this is something that we have to pay attention to as people. This is something that we have pushed to the side too much. We've often said, let's pray about it without taking any further action. So when I see somebody, and it's not just that, the fact that, bro, you a trainer too, right? I believe.
Yep.
So you're doing something that's not just like, yo, y'all, you're not like you're not the pudgy psychologist that's telling people to sit on the couch with the, bald, whatever, 80 years old. You a dude that's fit, you're swole, you over here like, nah, eat your food, get your health on, whatever, work out, but also take care of your mental state. So doing a little research on you, I found out that you are also a CEO. You're a founder of your company, Building Muscle. So I want you to take the viewers. I want you to tell us who you are now. Okay, let them
Mhm.
know from your perspective who you are, and I want you to take us back through history. What led up to you being that person who you are?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And first and foremost, appreciate you allowing me to be on your platform and us just connecting, man. It happened so organic. For me, I guess today, Nate Evans Jr., mental health advocate, you can say youth advocate. I'm a athletic trainer, award-winning trainer at this point, and I'm also what you would consider a life coach. If I had to put I try not to label things, but that when you go to schools and they want to pay you, you got to label it something. So
Mm-hmm.
right now I do it a lot. I do a lot of work in the universities and high schools right now, aiming to get more work done in the middle schools, but they bring me in as a liaison to the therapist. So there's usually a disconnect on a lot of campuses, with the therapist and actual students, where students, there's a stigma if you go to the therapist, you're so many different things. You're weak. You have these issues. Like it's a lot of social pressure for college students already. And if you're going there, it's like, okay, now you the crazy kid that people want to make fun of. So I step in as that liaison, as that person who is not a therapist, but can connect you with the therapist and make this thing, cool, make this thing something normal. And that's why you always see me with like the change where we normalize stuff, which is my movement, because I want to make these things normal. Because the things that we were once doing, they never served us. So just to take a little rewind back. Oh, and I'm an author as well. Forgot to put that out there. So to
Oh
take a
yeah, got
rewind
to.
back, my journey, obviously it starts from childhood. Growing up in a rough neighborhood, being exposed to a lot as a young man, and then also not understanding a lot. Not even realizing that the things that I was seeing on a regular basis was causing trauma within my life. I had no idea until, and this was the blessing in me playing basketball, right? I was really good at basketball. I got a scholarship to play Division II basketball in Memphis, Tennessee, at a school called Lemoyne On, which was an HBCU, and I got exposed to a lot. But during high school, playing AAU basketball, I got to travel the country, and I got to see different things. I'm like, man, people are living so different in these other states, at these other places. Like some of my friends, people that I was just meeting on the team, we would go to their houses. I'm like, man, it's so different here. Aside from you having the big house and things, just the way your dad speaks to you, just the way your
Mm.
mom speaks to you, just the way you operate as a family, how you're able to have open dialogue with them. And there's a lot of things that they were doing that I would be uncomfortable, doing at home or around my neighborhood. And I'm like, man. And even when, things would happen in regards to people being killed and molested and different things that even happened to me, I realized that those things weren't normal. I get it to these other places and I'm talking to people and they're like, man, how'd you go through that? And then you realize that you have now become numb to all of these things that happen because we normalized it. It
Mm.
got to a point where, people are getting killed in your neighborhood and it's just like, oh, well, it's another one. So fast forward a
Mm.
little bit, I go through college. I have some interesting experiences, which I'm now understanding as I've become more mature. I ended up going to 5 different colleges. A lot of people don't
Mm.
know that. And I explain that in my book, Building Muscle, Life is Your Trainer. I explain my bounce around to different schools, mainly due to me striving to reach this basketball dream, but then also having mental health issues that I never addressed either. So I was just leaving schools left and right whenever I felt like different things were happening. because I didn't know how to express my emotions. It was one of those things where you could be called soft, a punk,
Yeah.
out of your name, and just all of these different things. So I like to use the metaphor of a soda bottle, and you're shaking it up, you're
Mm.
shaking it up, you're shaking it up, and when you finally crack the top, it explodes, right? And I
Yep.
happened to get to that point. I think I was heading into my fourth school. Actually, yeah, I was going back to the community college, and I had a breakdown, man. Me and my family, we got evicted from our home. I done bounced around
Mm.
from school to school to school. I'm older, in my 20s now. I'm suffering from these different mental health issues. I've been touched on as a kid. It's a lot of questions
Mm.
I have, and I start contemplating like suicide. I'm like, this
Mm.
is like, God, I thought you had more for me. I thought, why is this happening? Why am I going through this type of turmoil? Why are things panning out this way? I was always, voted as a kid most likely to succeed and to be a
Mm.
leader and all these different things. I just couldn't understand it. And it was so much pressure that I had, and I had no idea how to express it. Basketball was my only outlet. But when that
Mm.
got taken away from me because of an injury, I was in there with my thoughts. And that was the first time I really just sat there with my thoughts. I got this boot on, I'm deep in my thoughts, and I'm like, yo, I'm trying to figure out ways to like, how can I kill myself? Like nobody really cares. And then, by the grace of God, I had two really close friends who are still my best friends now. One is the gentleman that I'm talking about now. I'm actually supposed to be in his wedding in 2 months as his best man. And he started taking me to the gym, and this is where the gym part comes in from building muscle. He starts taking me to the gym, and what happens is this: he takes me there, he introduces me to two other gentlemen that are older than me. And what we would do before we went on the gym floor, we would sit in the locker room and we would talk. And we
Mm.
wouldn't just talk like barbershop talk. It wouldn't be about women and all that stuff. We would talk about life. And these dudes would open up to me. They would be vulnerable. They would say they love me, just all these different things. And I was like, whoa, I've never ever
Mm.
had this. That wasn't a common thing. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even
Mm.
get that. I would say from my dad. I remember talking to him. This was just last year, and he was letting me know that his dad, who was my pop, he never told him he loved him except one
Mm.
time because a girlfriend told him to say it.
Mm.
So I'm like, that makes sense on why you may have been this way towards me. So I just started to see all these things. I was able to be vulnerable. I was able to be open. And that's when I realized that whole experience between me, just growing up, leaving to go to school, being mind you, I'm a first generation high school graduate because neither one of my
Mm.
parents graduated high school. They dropped out because they had me, first generation college student, then college graduate. And then I went on to publish a book because I realized that all of these things I went through, they were helping me to build resiliency. But then I was also understanding what my mental health struggles were. I was understanding that there was this stigma on a lot of things back at home that could be changed if we just addressed them, if we had conversations about them. And that's what pushed me to publish my first book, Building Muscle Life as Your Trainer. And then shortly after that, I, started and founded Building Muscle LLC, where the focus is physical health, but it starts with mental health. We focus on your mental well-being first, not from a clinical standpoint. I do have team members that do that, and I, again, be a liaison for them, but I like to come in and be more relatable because what I realized in the neighborhood that I grew up in, and not even just the neighborhood, my immediate family, what I realized was that I wasn't the only one that had these issues.
Mm.
My younger brother still has these issues. My uncles, you see that uncle, you're like, oh, that's just a crazy uncle. He be tripping.
Yeah.
Nah, he wasn't
Mm.
crazy. He was, he had trauma too. He was
Yeah.
doing stuff he wasn't supposed to be doing too. He was exposed to different things. His best friend got shot right in front of him too. It's
Mm.
like, these are the things right here. And it's like, okay, he's not crazy. He just went through
Yeah.
some trauma and he actually needs someone to talk to about this. He needs
Mm.
some help. So those are the type of services we provide. A lot of counseling, group coaching, consulting for education. We step in a lot with the EOF market in New Jersey, which is the Educational Opportunity Fund. That's
Mm.
where a lot of our minority students come from that can't necessarily afford to get into school. They have programs for them. So I work with a lot of schools in New Jersey, or colleges and universities in New Jersey, for that specific reason. And right now, um, we're working on a series of books. The first one is a book called I Love You. And that's where you saw the webinar or the
Mm-hmm.
live stream. And it was interesting because this was placed on my heart. So last year, January of last year, I went to Morgan State University to speak to their residence life students. And we were having conversations, and I'm talking to them and presenting to them the importance of mental strength and things like that. And we're having this open conversation, and these students start telling me about things that are going on at their neighborhoods and why they are the way they are on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of traumas, like again, it goes back to losing friends. One young man, oh, it was so crazy. One young man, he has a condition with his chest where his female hormones kind of take over just a little bit. And what it does is it makes his chest not the average guy chest. And he had a lot of insecurities growing up about it. He didn't know who he can talk to. He even at some point contemplated having, suicide because he was being made fun of for these issues that he couldn't talk about. And he overcame them, but he addressed it at that engagement that I had. And he said it in front of all his peers who had no idea. And they were just expressing these things, man. I'm just like, man, I left that engagement, and the director reached out to me. He was like, that was the first time all week any of our guys spoke, right? Because they had a week long full of events called like a health week. So they had some minister come in, they had these people come in suited and booted, the therapist, but they said when I came on that Friday, that was the first time a lot of them spoke because I was able to break down that wall and create that relationship with them. And just be open with them. Like I come in with my mess, like, look, this is me, this is what I got, boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Now you understand who I am. You should be able to trust me. Let's go ahead and talk. Let's break some things down. I don't want to come here and talk at you. So that was the first thing that really woke me up to first just being vulnerable. But then right after that, me and my fiance went to a conference in Washington, D.C., a mental health conference called Can We Talk? And Taraji P. Henson, she has a nonprofit organization called the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, named after her father. I believe he had mental health issues. He ended up passing away. So we're at this foundation, and the very first event, right? We get there, and it's broken up into different sections, so you can go to whatever room you want to. I end up going to the room, and the conversation is man up, real talk about men and mental health. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna learn some stuff that I can take, bring it back to my neighborhood, going to the youth centers, the Covenant House, really pour into these people. And they start talking about the statistics on suicide. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. And then they start talking about the statistics on suicide of Black boys and how it's much higher than their counterparts, and how it's pretty much doubled, almost tripled now since like 1993. And it blew my mind. I'm sitting there with my mouth just open the entire time, like, whoa, why is this not a conversation? Why are we not, why am I just hearing this right now? Why am I just hearing this right now? And it blew my mind, and it really broke my heart, but I took a lot of valuable information from that. And what I realized is that one of the main components to really help resolve this issue, or just kind of treat this issue so we can start making some change, is there's a missing ingredient of love, right? And when I say love, it's not like just, oh, yo, I love you, bro, like the watered down kind of like I love you, but it's a real thing. And for me, I went home, I studied on it, I prayed on it, and I broke it down into kind of like an acronym. So it was listen, open-hearted, validate, and encourage. That's what I took from everything, from all my notes, all my studies. And then I had the opportunity